Sunday reading. I hope you got a chance to tune into Creative Life Spiritual Center's service on Facebook Live today. If not, well, it will be there as a recording. The quote of the day for today is from Thomas Kincaid. You've heard of Thomas Kincaid, right? You've probably seen his works, right? We all yearn for a life that focuses on what is truly important and what is truly beautiful. Thomas Kincaid. And today's reading, I think you're going to like it. It's a little bit different, but I think you're going to like it, from our author of the month. Let me see. Oh yeah, here we are. Here we go. It's called Purposeful Possibilities. First quote is from someone I'm sure you've also heard of, which is George Bernard Shaw, who says, he probably yawned as well, "I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle to me. It is sort of a splendid torch that I have a hold of for the moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it over to future generations." George Bernard Shaw. And Ernest Holmes, in Living Without Fear, on page 38, says, "The purpose of life is to produce beings who can consciously cooperate with it. That through such cooperation, the evolving principle itself may more completely express." And the evolving principle, of course, is the divine, or the expression of the divine. That was on page 38 of Living Without Fear. And the rest is from Rev Raymont. He says, "For several months, 3 Latin phrases repeatedly came to my mind: memento mori, memento amoris, and vi viri universum vicus vici." He says, "They appeared again today during my walk, and I felt it appropriate to explore what they reveal about embracing the possibilities of our purpose." Well, I'm going to say what they did to me at first was take me back to my Latin roots, and I couldn't remember every single word here, so I had to look it up, and I got reminded that Latin often uses single words for when we would express one or more. For instance, with is expressed as an ending to a noun, and so on and so forth. Anyway, he goes on, he explains them here. He says, memento mori, literally, remember that you will die. While we are infinity expressing itself, it does so through this finite form of expression, which will end at some point. And then he says, as someone who has experienced thanatophobia for many years, I guess that's fear of death and dying, I think, just the thought of death sometimes opens up an existential rabbit hole for me. And then he says, memento amoris, which literally means remember love. A reminder of mortality reminds me to breathe and to be present now, not to wait to enjoy life. And then he says, remember to love. Love is the expression of the divine. Love as the key that unlocks what is possible. Love as the rainbow that assures us that heaven is within and is experienced to the degree that we are conscious of it. It says love reminds us and emboldens us with the true power of our being. And then he ends with the longer one, which is vi viri universum vicus vici. By the power of truth, literally by power, by truth. Universum, he says, okay, let me see what he says. He says, by the power of truth, I, while living, have conquered the universe. I guess literally it says, by, let me see, by living by truth, universe conquered have I, yes. By the divine truth that enlivens principle, I am guided and live my purpose. He says, what about you? What do each of these phrases bring to your mind? What if our purpose isn't just to be sought after, but to be embodied and expressed? He's getting very metaphysical here. So, in essence, what he's saying is that, yeah, remember that we are mortal and that at some stage we'll all pass on. Now, in our expression of spirituality, we believe that there is an essence of us that will continue living, but the body itself will go. And then he's saying to remember love, which is in all its aspects. Remember, in Greek, love didn't just have one word. It was lots of different words for different kinds of love. Yes, sexual love, familial love, and so on and so forth. And then by the power of truth, I, while living, have conquered the universe. Well, to me, what does that mean? It means that I have the ability to channel the universal power through me and to overcome things. So that's what it means to me. So it may seem a little bit complicated, but there it is. And as I said, it brought me back to my Latin roots by remembering that in Latin, words, what they call decline, and verbs conjugate, which means, I guess it's kind of easier and harder in a way. So instead of saying with, to, from, by, for, of, you just change the ending of the word. And instead of positioning words like the subject of a sentence to the object of a sentence, the ending changes and you can actually switch those around, but you know which is the subject and which is the object because of the ending and also by the context. So you probably didn't need a minor Latin lesson here today, right? No. So what I got out of this is to remember that we're special. Human beings are special. Yes, human beings are mortal, but human beings have been given the power of love, and love is the power that conquers the universe. Remember Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who was quoted this morning by Reverend Jesse Jennings. Pierre Teilhard de Chardin said, in effect, when humanity has conquered the wind, the waves, the wind, the waves, the tides and gravity, humanity will conquer for God the energies of love. And then for the second time in human history, we will have discovered fire. That's an approximate quotation, but it's accurate in what he was expressing. So Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, the famous, he's a paleontologist, Jesuit priest, great theologian who was not liked by the Vatican because of his views, but who influenced people like Jean Houston. And if you don't know who Jean Houston is, look her up. She's also a great spiritual teacher. If people like him can express how powerful love is, then I think we ought to express it. And remember, love in its true essence, love as being, wanting to be one with life and be willing to be with life. So anyway, let me see. The affirmation I changed a little bit actually. And if you'll excuse me, I'm getting some spreadsheets out of the way. By the way, I was here the other day and one of our cats decided to help me with my Excel spreadsheets by jumping on the keyboard. Of course, it didn't really help, but there you are. I changed his affirmation a little bit to what suits me, and I suggest you do the same to what suits you. My purpose is to be the expression of God in everything I think, say, feel, and do. My purpose is to be the expression of God in everything I think, say, feel, and do. And this is really a great one. Whatever I do, God is doing. Whatever I do, God is doing. And it's been said in many, many different ways. You know, Francis of Assisi said, you know, you are you are the voice, you are the eyes, you're the hands, feet, etc. of God, you know. So, as you wish. Look out for Reverend Lisa. We switched roles today, by the way. Yeah, she did my announcements, she did her normal closing. I read the meditation that's normally written by Danielle Johnson. We kind of moved things around a bit today because Danielle's off traveling for a couple of weeks. And if you don't watch her service, that's meaningless to you. But if you do watch her service, it's probably meaningful to you. So watch the service. Today's message was one that's really worth looking up, and it's actually worth repeating. So it was a very good message from Reverend Jesse Jennings. So 9:15 tomorrow, Reverend Lisa, 5 p.m. ish tomorrow, me, and we'll see you next time. My prayer for today is knowing that love is in and flowing and through and as every one of us, each one of us. And I claim that that is the truth, and I'm grateful for it, and I release it into that divine mind that always says yes, and so it is.